Hey guys, People Clueless Gamers back to review Legend of Tomorrow, Season 2, Episode 13, Land of the Lost. So the title of the episode kind of signifies the old, I believe it was an old 70s TV show or so. I think there was a movie that I never saw. I never really watched the TV show either, but I knew about it. Kind of a thing for the title going back to kind of the prehistoric era, which is what we do in this episode. And overall, I would say I really enjoyed this episode. There's some things that are kind of annoy me, I guess particularly with Natan Amaya, but for the most part, some awesome stuff, some great interaction between Rip and Gideon. Seeing Gideon in her real form was really cool, and overall it's kind of a trippy sci-fi kind of episode going into Rip's mind that I really did enjoy. So for me, there's 4 main points of the episode. It's enter Rip's mind, because I think there's a lot of cool stuff to talk about there, and even some sad stuff. Then the trio of Nate, Rip, Nate, Ray, and Amaya. I got it. There you go. The trio of them out into the prehistoric, dealing with, I believe, Gertrude the T-Rex. So that was fun. Rip is back as a third main point, and kind of Gideon itself is in that main point. And then the fourth main point is, are we going to the moon? Because it seems like next episode, that is where we're going. Which, if that's the case, we've been to space before in season 1, episode, I want to say 6, 7, whatever one that Rory betrayed them, that Mick betrayed the team and then got, thrown off the ship by, Captain Cold, and then they were like, did he die, and blah blah blah, and then he was actually Kronos. So we haven't been to space in a while. We definitely haven't been to the moon and, like, places we know about, not just some random area in space. So that is going to be really cool if that is the case. So starting with the first main point for me, man, enter Rip's mind. It was psychedelic in some ways. I like how, yes, to save budget money and stuff like that, but it also made sense that in his mind he would be trapped in the brig in the Waverider. The Waverider has been his home for many, many years, even before the team met him. And he kind of in some ways, whatever Eobard did to him in changing his memories and whatever specific things he did to him to keep some of Rip but change the good parts of him, it locked that part of him up, that good part of him, in his own mind, in the brig of his own ship. And it was his team, obviously the people that are alive in real present time, so you're not going to see Captain Cold and stuff like that, or you're not going to see people not on the show anymore, the Hawks, but people on the team that are there that he would know about. I'm glad they didn't make a mistake that sometimes TV shows do, where they would have, like, let's say Nate and Amaya in there, and it's like, wait a second, they don't know Rip at all, and he doesn't know them, so that wouldn't make any sense. So I'm glad they didn't make a very easy mistake they could have made there. It was just Mick, Jax, Sarah, Ray, and then I guess that was it, because Stein was in Jax in that point. So yeah, so it was just the 5 of them kind of protecting Rip's mind, along with kind of Vandal Savages slash the Time Master soldiers. So that was kind of, I thought for a second when the episode started, I thought we were going to actually see a cameo appearance of Vandal Savage in his mind, kind of still torturing him about how he killed his family. And I think that would have been a really cool aspect, but I understand probably you couldn't get the actor back and blah, 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 blah. Or maybe they didn't just think of the idea and I just gave them one there. But that would have been really cool to see, but I enjoyed that. Sarah fighting Sarah, I looked specifically, it's very hard for me to tell. I couldn't really tell at all if there was a stunt double there. Clearly, obviously, at some point during the action scenes, there had to be, but I think they did a really good job with the shadows, and maybe her stunt double is, looks a lot like, Katie Lotz. So, it's completely possible. I thought that was really good. Katie Lotz does a lot of her stunts. If you guys, don't follow her or don't see her, just look up a YouTube video of her. She's a very good dancer. She does a lot of crazy, like, free running, so she's a pretty awesome individual. So I thought she handled it really great. I thought, even seeing Jax as kind of his alter ego, because those are the 2 we saw the most, I thought was really cool. Ray was kind of Ray. Correct me if I'm wrong down below, but I'm pretty sure Ray's suit was like a little bit darker. It looked a little bit different to kind of show the evil side of him. That's at least what I saw. Jax's fire was cool. Yes, it didn't look the best. It wasn't the best graphic ever. Definitely his regular firestorm looks way better. So this one looked a little fake, but it was still cool for the moment. Him having the total red eyes. Really love that. I like the whole joke that they said where Oh, it's, evil kind of Bizarro, everyone else. Evil Mick. Oh, I guess that's just regular Mick. Like, all those moments were really great. Action scenes were really enjoyable. I like the whole concept of even when they got rid of them for the most part, they could just come back because they're in Rip's mind, and these are Rip's protectors or prisoners in some way, keeping good Rip locked in there. So I really enjoyed that. I like the whole kind of green kind of film look of the lights that were going on the ship, just the darkness of the ship overall. I like when Sarah snapped her own neck and, it's saying the lines that, we have to kick our own ass, and no, the difference is we're real. Jax was pretty smart with kicking his evil self out of the ship, even though he came back. But I like when his evil self said, oh, it looks like someone forgot to bring their powers. Like, those were all really, really cool moments. And then seeing, getting to Rip and seeing him have, these crazy kind of telekinetic powers because it is his own mind. And he didn't, he injured Sarah first. He didn't even know any better. And then he tried a couple times to get out of the cell, and he eventually, Gideon, coming there with Jax really got him out. And I enjoyed that stuff. I enjoyed when he used his powers to push away, Jax, Mick, and Ray and, like, pop them out of existence. I thought that was a super cool effect that I really liked. And even the effect of them shocking themselves awake, with Jax doing it with the bracelet and, like, kind of how he faded away and was like, like how he woke up like that, and then doing that to Sarah where, yeah, technically if you use a defibrillator on someone, you could straight up kill them if they don't, need it, or even if they do need it, you have to be very careful and be, kind of a a technician of that device. But in this case, if Rip's mind was collapsing, which it was, I understand what they did. But overall, I really liked the conversation Sarah had with Rip when he was, in his captivity, trying to get him to remember his old self, and him throughout the episode when Sarah or someone else like Jax, our good Jax said things, or Gideon said things, he would have all these flashes, all these memories, and I like when shows do that, like the memories are coming back to the person. So that was really, really awesome stuff there. I guess in Rip's mind as well, I would have liked to see a couple other people enter. I would have liked to see Stein enter. I think would be really cool. But I understand for the purpose they kind of put Sarah in there because she's been the captain. She's been kind of the closest with Rip. And then, Jax has been mentored a lot by him as well, being, the ship's mechanic and kind of all-around handyman. So I understand. I thought it was kind of convenient, though, that, Mick, yes, understandably, there wasn't a moment so far in the show where even to the team off screen, he would have to mention the whole procedure of going into Rip's mind in general. But I love how the ship being so, futuristic, it just, of course, has that thing there on the ship, even though it kind of looked like the medical room. And there was 3 seats perfectly, able to do this. So, yeah, those things were convenient, but it is the Waverider. It's an amazing ship. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a million different rooms on that ship. Even though I think they only said there's like 27 compartments or something that they said early in the season, they pretty much have a little bit of everything from a ship from the 22nd century. So overall, the whole trip inside Rip's mind, really cool. Want to see them do kind of psychedelic things like that. Going forward, kind of seeing your little bit of evil selves there, and really I think it was a good payoff after everything that's happened with Rip. And it wasn't just an easy, done, we're done, he's good, he's back to normal. Like, it took a lot. It's been several episodes that he's been evil. It's been a couple episodes since they've captured him, and it took that time finally to bring him back, and it felt worth it, and I really enjoyed that. Second main point of the episode for me here is Ray, Amaya, and Nate. So this is kind of our B storyline in a way. It's kind of our second team. Even though we jump back and forth a little bit to Mick and Stein, we really don't spend a ton of time with them for the most part. And I'll touch on their little moments later. But the whole trio of Nate and Amaya and Ray was good for the most part. I enjoyed them being out in the prehistoric era. I understand why, for 2 reasons, why we didn't get Gertrude the T-Rex or Gertie till the end of the episode. One, the obvious, to save money. We saw her back in episode 1 of the season, and that was an amazing moment. So that was really cool that we went back to that time. It was explained why we went back to that specific time, because that was the oldest point. It just happened with Rip doing everything he did, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. Him fucking up everything, that's what just Gideon was programmed to go back to the oldest time that they had in the data log, and that was it. So always going to these different times, going to prehistoric times is really cool. I actually wish the whole team could have been out there in the prehistoric times and we saw a lot more, but I understand probably not only for bringing Rip back, but for their budget, they couldn't do that. it was also the second point of why they left the T-Rex, Gertie there till the end, was to have that amazing moment with Maya, and I'll get back to that in a second. So, when they start out in the episode, and Ray clearly knowing the territory, I have a couple questions, like when he has his hut and he made like the whole little Legends team to keep him. You have to remember, I think they were there like, I want to say something like 6 months or something. Because I think Mick was in stasis and the ship was down for like 6 months, and then Nate contacted Oliver and blah, blah, blah. That's how it went on. So I think they were all in their respective places for like 6 months. So that's crazy. Did they age during that time? Do they, obviously they have all their memories of that. So that was very an interesting situation. I did question though how like Ray had pots and pans when he was cooking that like iguana or lizard, whatever stew. That seemed a little weird because I guess he could have brought it from the ship, and that's completely possible. And let me know what you think about this down below. Because he had that gigantic backpack, so maybe he just brought it from the ship. If he didn't bring it from the ship, then that's kind of unrealistic. There's no way he was creating that metal out there. But I'm going to assume when I was watching the episode, I'm like, that had to come from his backpack. There was a lot of shit in there. And Ray being that kind of nerd survivalist, prepare for any situation kind of thing. I think he was a Boy Scout, not entirely surprising. The whole Nate and Amaya stuff, with them trying to jump each other's bones literally every second that they're alone, it's only been going on for, 2-3 episodes? Not even really, like only this episode and episode 11. There's only really been 2 episodes, and I'm already bored of it. I'm tired of it. It feels, and let me know what you think about their relationship down below. It feels very forced. I don't believe the two of them at all. Again, I'm totally open to changing, to accepting. I don't want any negative parts of my TV shows. They could all be amazing. I would love that. But this just feels forced. It doesn't feel like they have supernatural chemistry at this point, and I'm totally open to being swayed and being proven wrong. But for now, not something I like. I actually kind of thought it was interesting her going with Mick, just because I couldn't literally picture Mick being in a relationship or doing anything. I thought that would have been a really interesting dynamic between the two of them, and they were spending a lot of time together. And now I think it's just weird that even if they're not getting together, they're not spending any time together. I mean, you don't even see them talk. So especially Vixen, which I have a feeling she will, given the timeline that they talked about in this episode that I kind of forgot about. If Vixen's gone at the end of the season, is she going to take Nate with her? What's going to happen? Even if she doesn't take Nate with her, like, it just seems super odd and really weird that they got rid of the Mick storyline and they're into this Nate storyline. It's like maybe they are getting rid of the two of them and they just wanted to keep Mick on board, but it does feel forced. I don't like it. I don't like how, I understand. I thought it was logical how Amaya said that, she saw Stargirl, back in the Camelot times, and she saw that she was basically with King Arthur or whatever. I guess she was sleeping with King Arthur as well as his wife, but whatever. But I guess she saw that and she backed off the whole can't fraternize with teammates thing. She really seems to, or, like Nate, or maybe she at least just wants to get laid. She seems very, very, I guess for lack of a better word, horny. She's very into that kind of stuff, and I don't know, maybe she's used to that 1942 culture that, she didn't know the concept of dating or casual sex or anything else. We don't even know the extent that she was with Rex Tyler in that way, especially given that they were an interracial couple during that time. So I can understand that, but it just feels weird to me. I don't like it. I did love the conversation, though, that Ray and Nate had. So, Amaya leaves, and Ray kind of just moves up to him a couple times. He's like, Nate goes, we're huddling for warmth or whatever. And I kind of forgot about the situation that you have to remember. Amaya is the grandmother of Mari back, in Detroit in 2017 now. And we saw her last in 2016 in Arrow last season. I have not watched Vixen, the CW Seed show or whatever. I do plan to. Let me know down below if you know if there's going to be a season 3 of that show. But I liked the Vixen in the present, and then you kind of remember that since they couldn't get the actress to commit to the show because she had something else going on, they went back in time and put her into the JSA, which I thought was a really kind of neat way around it without erasing the other actress and being like, oh, we recast her. So I hate when, you know, movies or TV shows do that, because especially in TV shows, because it's super awkward. But I think this mythology that they created, that she's going to pass it down to her daughter, and then it will eventually get to Mari. You have to remember, like Ray said, we don't matter to the timeline. Even Nate in that case, I guess, doesn't matter, even though we really haven't talked about it. But Amaya does. Her ancestors do matter. And fucking this up, potentially sleeping with her, or her having a kid, or whatever could happen, her staying on the ship and not going back home, that can make sure that, you know, Mari doesn't exist. Maybe the Vixen, you know, line ends. It doesn't even get to her daughter or her granddaughter. So I think that was nice that Ray, reminded me, reminded the audience in general that, yeah, that was good. And I thought that was a really excellent scene. At the end of the episode, it was funny when Nate was like, oh, I'll start tomorrow, but he even admitted to Ray, it's not casual anymore. You know, now jumping back to the moment with Amaya having the whole T-Rex thing, absolutely awesome. It was actually really a calm, kind of serene, beautiful moment that I really liked. At first, I thought she was going to try to beat it up or turn into a male T-Rex or something else, but I think she just turned into kind of a female T-Rex, and she connected with it, just like she connected with the snake. You know, she is, as Nate said, like an attractive Dr. Doolittle, and I thought that was a really, really powerful moment where if Vixen is gone at the end of the season, which I imagine she will be, I'm really, really going to miss her. And it was in that moment that Nate kind of totally realized he fell in love with her, and nothing is casual anymore. And him starting tomorrow saying that, I think only further complicates the situation, that the more feelings you get, the more stuff you do with each other. Now, if they've officially slept together, I guess they didn't sleep together in the tent. Maybe they just chilled out there. I don't really know what happened. Maybe this is the second time. Let me know your thoughts on that down below. But that's definitely a situation where Nate has to cut off real quick. I did see some people say in a comment of, I only watched one reaction before this review. I don't like really to do that. And I saw someone comment that maybe it's a possibility that Nate, it's never said who, you know, Mari's grandfather is, or who Amaya's, you know, husband ends up being. Maybe with the whole Rex Tyler thing going, maybe this is just another white guy that gets replaced in there. Or maybe the timeline has a weird way of doing this stuff and replacing things. Maybe it meant to all along. This is how it was going to work out. Or once Rex died, Nate was there. And no one says that they can't have a kid or whatever, and then that later ends up being, you know, Mari. I mean, it's completely possible. Yes, she's a little bit darker skinned, but it is completely possible. So who knows? Maybe he's not going to even mess up the timeline. But all those moments, especially that T-Rex moment, really cool stuff. Of course, the thing that was missing was in the dinosaur eggs and things like that. And those were some funny moments of Ray saying, you know, 70 omelets it created. I do hope we go back to the prehistoric age more, but if we don't, that was very cool. Third main point in the episode here for me is kind of Rip is back and Gideon. So Rip is back, that whole moment there where he got out of the mind and he was addressing the team and saying, you know, how most, you know, some things haven't changed with Mick, and thanking Jax for fixing the ship, and, you know, with Captain Lance and all that stuff. And then, you know, meeting Amaya and Nate kind of for the first time, and, you know, saying that, hey, I served with your teammate to Amaya, and to Nate, I served with your grandfather. You know, these were great people, and stuff like that. I really enjoyed those moments. I'm glad Rip is back in the trench coat. I like how he said that, yeah, you can't really put on weight as a film student. All those moments great. I like when Gideon said, you know, something like, is ready, Captain, and they both said, thank you, Gideon, and they kind of smiled at each other, and I wonder what is going to happen going forward. Are they going to be kind of co-captains? I mean, you could have captains on a ship, or, you know, on a ship, or a co-pilot or something like that. I honestly would kind of like Rip to kind of turn over the keys to Sarah. I don't know how that would work, though, because I can't see Rip serving under her, just because not only it is his ship and he knows more and stuff like that, I just don't know how that would work. Co-captains would be really cool. Maybe Rip leaves at the end of the season. I don't know what's going to happen. I just can't see Sarah going back to the normal person she was, but maybe she does out of respect, and Rip is the captain again, and then Sarah's kind of the second-hand man, woman, whatever you want to say, that she was in basically the first season. So that would be very, very cool to see. But I've enjoyed Captain Lance. I wonder how they're going to work out there. But as long as they don't get into some kind of petty rivalry, I'll be fine with that. It was just really, really nice to see him back. the big shock moment that I had my mouth wide open was the whole Gideon part. So I guess in some way I thought this was going to come, that, you know, Gideon's been a voice the whole time on The Flash and now Legends. She's basically a main character in some ways on Legends, definitely a supporting character. Her quips and her sarcastic nature, totally Jarvis-like. So now we see her in her regular human actress form, and, you know, Jax making the comment of like, oh, I pictured you as a redhead, was very, very funny. But there was some moments where it seemed that when she was off camera, but she was supposed to be still there, and like the camera was on Jax, there was one moment where like her voice sounded super different, like it almost sounded like regular Gideon and not the actress being there. So I don't know if they did like a voiceover later, so let me know if you guys saw, you know, heard that down below. But overall, the actress was very attractive. She was very good. Always for me, when I hear voice actors normally where you don't see the actual actor or actress, it's very hard for me. It's like a mind-blowing moment when you actually see them in real time, in real life, and like and see what they actually look like, and it's like, oh, maybe I didn't expect the voice to go along with that person and what they look like. Or it's just hard differentiating, at least for me, the voice from the, you know, coming out of the mouth of that person now that you're seeing it. And I definitely had several moments like that in this episode, but I like that she was the one that got him out of the brig, that they're always by each other's side. And then there was a moment in the episode where I was like, you know, Sarah, of course, making the comment that she's hot, and I was like, Sarah, she's an AI, back off. And then at the end of the episode, you know, you see Rip and her getting closer together, and I'm like, is he gonna kiss her? And he kissed a fucking AI, a computer system that was imagined as a human being in his mind. So talk about trippy psychedelic shit here in Legend of Tomorrow. But it was actually a really cool moment with the sparks flying and his mind collapsing, stuff like that. I really did enjoy that. I don't know how, once he came out, you know, and he apologized to Gideon, that was cool. Apologized to the team as well. But when he apologized to Gideon and she goes, oh, are you saying, you know, regretting me forcing me to open the door, or our kiss? I don't know how she possibly remembered that, you know, given that that was a manifestation of her in his mind. But even though she did, I'm glad that she said that she rather enjoyed it. Maybe there's hope for her to become kind of Jarvis Vision-like, and she could one day be a part of the team, even though she would still be a robot. So it would be kind of a whole WandaVision thing, so it would be a little awkward. But I'm interested to see that. I would totally ship that going forward, because that would be really cool to see. Rip kind of deserves some happiness after what happened to his family, and he couldn't even save them last season. I will say, when Rip was kind of evil, and he had that whole moment of running the ship, I thought that was going to last way longer, but it lasted short enough that he's not the master fighter and tactician that Vandal Savage is. He didn't have kind of the weaponry and things like that, and he did the only thing that he knew he can do, and he destroyed the compass. So now you definitely needed good Rip. You had not only needed to save Rip, but you needed good Rip, because we need to figure out where the last piece is now that we don't have the compass. I wonder if they would have went to the extent they did to save Rip if the compass wasn't destroyed. I don't know if they would, because, you know, Jax and Sarah were having that conversation where, like, what are we going to do with Rip? Well, you know, at least until we figure out some way and we stop the Legion of Doom, we're going to leave him in there. So it doesn't seem like that was a main priority for it, but I'm glad that we got to that point. And that was a really cool moment that, you know, when he kind of badass turned around and shot it, and you were like, oh, fuck, they are totally fucked. And then the fourth main point in the episode for me is, are we going to the moon? So there's not much to say about this point, but, you know, we see Eobard at the end of the episode kind of being, you know, a doctor there in NASA. Apollo 13, 1970 is going up. My question to you guys is the Spear of Destiny going to be brought up onto the moon by Commander Steel, or has it already been brought there? Because that would be an absolutely brilliant place. Like, if the flag that they put down in the moon, the pole, let's say it's wood, and that piece of that wood is the Spear of Destiny, that would be brilliant, because no one would ever think, oh, it's spread out through time. No, it's literally spread out through time and space in this case. It's literally off the planet on the fucking moon. So that would be a brilliant place to hold it. Want to see that. Want to see what Eobard's going to do. Is he going to, like, kind of use that future tech to become that guy and join the ship? Is it just going to be him we're dealing with next episode? How do speed powers work on the moon? So there's going to be a lot of crazy stuff going on, so I'm super looking forward to that. A little main points in the episode here for me. Again, there wasn't really much beside the main points I said. I guess just kind of the Mick and Stein interactions, where basically the main point of that is Stein is so mean to Mick. I think he needs to... Mick sometimes is an asshole and he deserves it. But Stein needs to kind of lessen up on him a little bit, lighten up on him a little bit, and be a little bit nicer. And then kind of Mick gave him the advice of, like, stop treating Jax like a kid, treat him like a partner, which I think he's done a lot better with Jax this season. But now trusting him and having that moment at the end of the episode where, like, I have the utmost faith in you and respect and stuff like that. I thought that was a really important moment for those two characters, and I really did enjoy that. It was interesting when Mick said, like, you're not going to be around forever, but does that mean Jax dies or needs another partner to live, or is that only in the case of Stein, because he was the original one that was literally, he not only goes inside the firestorm, but he was infused in the whole particle accelerator thing, and he just found a capable candidate in Jax. So I wonder how that works. I hope we don't have to find out, because I hope Stein doesn't die. But that's definitely something that a man in his 60s, and especially in the stress kind of dangerous environment they have to deal with, it is something that they do have to consider. But overall, guys, that's kind of my thoughts here on Legend of Tomorrow Season 2, Episode 13, Land of the Lost. Let me know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Were there any Easter eggs I missed in the episode? What did you think of the whole kind of Nate and Amaya thing, and them teaming up with Ray there and Gertrude? What did you think of that T-Rex moment and kind of the future of Amaya going forward in the show and in her actual timeline? And did you like them, referencing Mari kind of there? What do you think about kind of entering Rip's mind this episode, seeing Gideon's kind of true form, him kissing her? Do you think there's a possibility that she's made into an actual person at some point, kind of vision-like, and seeing Sarah and Jax going there, older evil versions, the interactions between Mick and Stein, and then it looks like we're going to the moon there with Eobard Thawne. So kind of any other thoughts, predictions, theories you have in the episode, things going forward, let me know them down below. As always, though, no spoilers. Like the video, subscribe, channel, share with your friends if you be so kind, and until next week of Legends, guys, thanks for watching.